topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Orlando. And actually now, most of northern Florida, we have started getting a lot of mail from the northern part of Florida. But welcome. We're going to have a great show today. It is absolutely, without a doubt, one of your favorite topics. We're going to be doing community association law today. And we have a lot of ways that you can participate in the show. You can call us at 561-623-9429 if you have a question from our great attorney today. Let me introduce her to you. Kirsten Hens. Did I pronounce it right, Kirsten?
Hensa. Hi.
Hensa.
Kirsten Hensa.
Okay. Well, this is only Kirsten's second show. God, she did such a great job the other day when she did the show for the first time. And how long have you been with K. Bender Rembaum?
So I've been with K. Bender Rembaum since 2010.
Oh.
Since 2010, going on my 14th year. And I'm presently the managing attorney for the Tampa Bay office. And today I'm just stepping in for my colleague, Alan.
So that are you board certified?
Not yet.
Working on it.
Working on it. I've had a few babies in between.
Oh
and
my gosh, how do you do that?
So, you know, those babies can take up a lot of your time.
Oh my God, Kirsten, how do you do that? Unbelievable. Well, you can, if you've got a question, if you live in a condo or an HOA association, if you're a board member, if you're a management company, maybe you're thinking about getting on the board, or you're a resident and just have a question, again, you can call here at 561-623-9429, or we're on TV today, and if you're watching us, you know how to get there. We have a chat room. You can write a question while we're doing the show, and we'll be more than happy to read it. And the third way, which is a lot of people do, is you can text us at 954-336-3767. We've gotten probably about 40 texts since our last show last month. A lot of questions today that we're going to go over. And Kristen, what is the biggest question associations have now?
Oh gosh. I mean, milestone inspections and the structural reserve studies are definitely at the top of the list. Assistance animals are always a hot topic. And
yes.
The good news is that we have a lot of seminars and a lot of educational courses that cover a lot of these topics individually, that I encourage the audience to, go on our website and scroll and check out to see what courses we have available. And a lot of them are available by Zoom.
Yes. And we're actually scrolling them right now while we're speaking. And you do that real important condo board member certification course that you give out for free.
Yes, we have that one coming up. We also have, I just actually did one on screening, but we have another one coming up October 12th. and it'll be discussing how to screen buyers, tenants, occupants. That's also a very hot topic.
So people who are going to be renting.
Oh, for sure.
Yes.
We have, what else do we have? We have a course on collections coming up also at the end of October 31st.
Well, we've got so much to go over. Like I said, if you would like to go to our chat line, you could actually ask a question on our chat line, on our chat line. Yes, this is also someone just wrote, yes, you can hear our show in Tampa also. I guess they're listening to us in Tampa. Let's go to our first chat question is from R. Willis. Our property, as you can see up there, which I love how Juan does this, our property insurance claim was denied. If an owner requests documents relevant to that claim, once the claim has been settled, is the board required to make those documents available?
If the owner makes a proper written request for inspection of records, then absolutely, the board is required under statute to make those records available. They don't have an obligation to necessarily, make copies of it and send them over to the owner. The request has to come in form of requesting access. Not requesting copies, but requesting access to inspect the records. If that's the request that the board gets, then those records are association records available for inspection.
Okay, let's go to Robert on our chat line. He just put on here, big raise in our insurance premiums. And, we just talked about that before the show. And, it's not the board that's doing that, is it?
No. Right.
Tell
Unfortunately, that's out of their control.
Well, what's happened is, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a lot of homeowners insurance companies who've gone under or who've just picked up and left Florida, and that has positioned insurance companies for Florida to raise their rates. Is that pretty much what's happening?
That's definitely a part of it. When you don't have a lot of competition, right? Then you're kind of stuck with whatever's available. But you want to make sure also that you make your condominium, marketable, and ways to do that, to make yourself marketable to insurance companies, so that there is some competition and hopefully you can get better rates, is make sure that you're on top of your maintenance. I mean, that seems like an obvious one, but make sure you get your 40-year or your milestone inspections that are coming up. Make sure you're on top of those. Also, you might have wind mitigation that you can do, whether it's, shutters or, roof replacement that you might need to do, or, get hurricane windows. All those things can help to reduce your premium.
Okay, let's stay in our chat room. Let's go to Dixon. What records are owners of condos not permitted to ask for?
There are a few. Certainly any records that are protected by attorney-client privilege, those would be exempt from inspection. So if the board seeks legal counsel on any particular matter, that communication between the board and legal counsel would be privileged and exempt. Personnel records of property managers or any employees are exempt. You are, however, entitled to see the compensation that is paid to your property manager or management company or employees. A big one is, any information that you obtain through the sale, lease, or transfer approval process. Those are exempt. So if your association allows or authorizes the board to approve and disapprove certain types of transactions, sales or leases, and there's an application process involved with that, then anything you obtain in that process, the copy of the application, a copy of the criminal or the financial background report, all that information is exempt from inspection by owners.
Looks like we've got a follow-up question with Dixon. Owners of my condo, the complainers faction, air their dirty laundry on a Facebook group. How can this be stopped?
I don't know that that's a legal question. I don't know there's a way to deactivate or block those users.
Okay.
I would look into that.
Let's go to our text. Oh my gosh, we've got so many people who have texted the show. Let me get over there. Clark in Tampa. Is it required that all condo associations have a CPA?
I'm not aware that there is a Florida law that requires that. Now, it's quite possible that you might have, governing documents that require you to have, CPA, but, certainly you'd want to consult with an accountant and or a CPA for all your, financial aspects of running your condominium association, just like you should get counsel from, attorneys on legal matters, or get counsel from engineers on engineering, construction matters. So, but again, that's a topic that should be specifically addressed in your governing documents, not state law.
Kirsten, it's amazing how much stuff there is to know about, especially if you are head or you're president of association. It's almost like running a big corporation, and that's why it's important that they have someone like a Kay Bender Rimbaum to support them.
Yeah, and you're not expected, as a board member, as a board president, or any officer really. I mean, you're not an expert in condo law, right? You're not an expert in construction. You're not an expert in accounting. And so you need to rely on those experts to guide you and give you proper, counsel on how to operate the corporation. That is part of your fiduciary obligation as a board member.
We get this question all the time. Is it difficult being a board member, and what kind of background should you have?
Well, I mean, I've seen board members who are, retired professionals to current professionals, from teachers to nurses to former attorneys, doctors, businessmen. Obviously, there's no specific requirement for you to be specialized in anything. So my advice is get advice from your experts, and certainly attend, seminars and courses, and, participate in shows like this. Log on, listen to questions and, advice.
I know we just had somebody text in who's thinking about running for the board, and he has a business background, and he just wants to know, will that help him if he becomes a board member?
Certainly. Okay.
Especially the financial part, adopting or creating a budget, adopting the budget, reserves, all of that financial acumen, I'm sure will be very useful.
to have.
Okay, let's go to Brad in Orlando. My question is about our board holding meetings. Are we required to do 2 meetings a year, annual and budget meetings?
So those 2 meetings are really typically the 2 meetings most associations have. But let me just clarify. So the annual meeting is a meeting not of the board. It's a meeting of the membership. Practically speaking, the board is the one that's conducting the meetings, but you will notice an annual meeting as the annual meeting of the membership. And the primary purpose of the annual meeting of the membership is election of directors. You might have other items on the agenda, for example, committee meetings or committee reports. Those could happen at the annual meeting. But elections really is the primary basis for doing that. And then the budget meeting is a meeting of the board. So you will notice the budget meeting as a special meeting of the board for the purpose of adopting your annual budget. But there might be other requirements in your bylaws to have other meetings. So you might, for example, be required to have an organizational meeting. And that is a meeting where you organize officers after an election. You appoint officers and then you organize them. Who's going to be the president, who's going to be the vice president, secretary, treasurer. And those meetings typically are conducted right after your annual meeting, after you've held your election, but sometimes you may have them within a certain time frame of your annual meeting. For example, within 10 days of having your annual meeting. So you'll want to check your bylaws as well. And then it's possible that your bylaws also require for the board to have regular meetings. So you might have to come up with a schedule. We'll have a board meeting on the first Thursday of every month. So if you have the requirement, then you'll probably have more meetings than just the annual and the budget.
Hey, let's go back to our chat line. A lot of questions coming in on the chat line today. Robert, thanks for fielding the questions. Is there any new state legislation that affects how much HOA dues can be raised to cover increases? Anything that exempts the 15% cap in annual dues raised?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. Let me read that again.
It's a big one.
So let me just clarify.
He wants to know for like insurance increases.
Yeah.
Was his follow-up there.
So so let me clarify that the 15% cap, what that applies to is if the board adopts a budget, okay, that is 115% more than last year's budget, then the statute gives basically the membership the opportunity to adopt an alternate budget. That's all that refers to. It doesn't mean that you can't adopt a budget that's over that 15% threshold from last year's budget. It's just that if you do, then the membership has to follow certain procedures in order to adopt an alternate budget. But if I recall correctly, the insurance premium was actually one of the items that was added in the statute. So you wouldn't count insurance premium towards that 115%. So when you want to come up, so when you are looking at this year's budget compared to last year's budget to see if there's an increase of more than 150% from last year's, you're not counting insurance premium into that 15%.
Oh, okay.
And I will tell you that in the years that I've practiced, I have seen members try to adopt alternate budgets. I've seen complaints filed with the Division of Condominium on the issue, but I have never successfully seen a membership adopt an alternate budget based on this statute. It's complicated, and without legal counsel, I've never seen it succeed.
Okay. Hey, we're going to go to our first break. Kirsten, give everybody the phone number that this will allow you to reach your Pompano office, your Palm Beach office, your Palm Beach Gardens, your Tampa, and your Orlando offices. What is the number there?
Sure. It's 954-928-0680.
Okay. Name of the practice is K. That's Kaye. K Bender Rimbaum. We're going to go break now. When we come back, we'll talk about all the events you got coming up for October. We'll be right back.
K. Bender Rimbaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rimbaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rimbaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rimbaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show. We are so blessed to have K. Bender Rimbaum. They are a community association law firm. If you live in a condo or an HOA, you've always got a question. They have some of the finest attorneys, community association attorneys. Today we've got Kirsten Hensa with us, and we're taking your questions. If you're watching us on the TV version, you can actually join our chat line like many of us do. We'll ask those questions. We've also had a lot of people send us questions in, which we're going to get to. Or you can just call into the show right now at 561-623-9429. Kirsten, do you have the classes for this month coming up, or I've got them here?
I do.
Oh, good. Let's go over those classes. And these are all free, is that right?
They are. They're free.
Okay.
And they can take 1 to 2 hours, depending on the course. And there's always a Q&A session at the end. So if you stick around, you can even approach the attorney on one-on-one and have a conversation. So we have October 12th, a course on the screening process that's going to be via Zoom by one of the attorneys at our Pompano office, Andrew Black. And that's, again, going to address the screening or the approval, disapproval process of prospective buyers, tenants, and occupants. Then we have a condo association board member certification class on October 24th, also taught by Andrew Black. And that's going to be actually down in South Florida, live at the Tamarack Community Center. And lastly, we have on October 31st, a course on collections. So that's always a fun one. And that one's via Zoom.
I love the fact
And
that most of
we
your
do have
classes
some
are all free.
condo expos. I'm sorry, Steve.
I love the fact that your classes that you offer are free.
Yes. And the attorneys who prepare, who do these classes, I mean, we spend a lot of time preparing. We spent a lot of time, putting together a PowerPoint presentation that will become available to the attendees at the end. I mean, you'll see it during the course, but you can also, download it later on at the end of the course. And yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time preparing, make sure that we tell you the right stuff and provide you good guidance. So
I've got a cute story for you, Kirsten. I actually have been to several of your, I believe you call them Ask the Lawyer or Ask the Attorney. And a couple came in. The wife was a new board member, and the husband was like that little kid who's bored. And you have to give him a lifesaver. And he was complaining the whole time. And after about 10 or 15 minutes, this guy starts getting into it. I mean, in a good way, he started coming up with all these questions. And you could just tell how much he enjoyed the actually, y'all had spent 2 hours that night because there were so many questions.
Yeah.
So it's really good that you put this on and that you offer this every month. Anything about pets coming up?
I don't see it. Not this month.
Okay.
Not this month. But check back towards the end of end of October. We might have the schedule up for November, December. We do the assistance animal, service animal course pretty frequently.
Yes. It's funny.
We do have also, election season is coming up. So we are offering some election courses at the expos. We do have an expo in Orlando coming up on October 3rd. Alan's going to be there, and he's going to be teaching the elections class as well as a legal update. So all about milestone inspections and SIRS. He's going to discuss it all. And then there's going to be an expo for the Tampa and Bradenton area, October 24th and October 25th. And I will be teaching the elections class in the Tampa expo. And then there's going to be 2 classes of legal updates taught in both of those expos. So,
okay, let's go back to our text. Bob in Daytona Beach. What happens to the surplus in a condo budget? Can it go into a contingency fund line item on next year's budget? And what can a contingency fund be used for? That's a lot of questions.
Well, I have to say, Steve, a lot of these questions are very educated questions.
I just deliver them.
So you have a very educated audience.
Yes.
So a surplus essentially is, monies that are left over after the association pays its common expenses. I can't imagine that any condo has surplus these days, but yes. I suppose if you do, that's fantastic. You're doing something right. So if there is surplus, yes, you can credit surplus towards the next year's assessments. And a way of doing that is to add the surplus on a line item on the budget. A contingency fund could be a line item on the budget. But the important thing here is that the contingency funds have to be used for a bona fide association expenditure. So typically a contingency fund would be used for, emergency maintenance or repairs, could even cover, insurance premiums. So as long as that contingency fund is used for an expenditure that's authorized under the condo statute or, in the governing documents, then you're okay. And again, contingency funds could be used, again, anything related to operation, management of the association, or maintenance, repair of the common elements.
Okay. Let's go to Brad in Orlando. My question is about our board holding meetings. Are we required to do 2 meetings a year? I think they just asked us a minute ago, annual and a budget meeting. Yes, we've just already gone over that. Here's Marvin in Almont. Is it considered negligence if a board doesn't get a leaking pipe taken care of? Kristen, we get a lot of questions about leaking pipes and who's supposed to take care of them. And we eventually get flooding. Is it hard to prove negligence? Can you explain HO6 policy?
Man, that was a mouthful.
Hey, we have a very educated audience. I mean, our audience these are all, all in a condo or HOA association. They've been there for years and they know our show.
Sure. So with regard to maintenance of pipes, if we're talking about just ordinary maintenance, that's not something that's going to be covered in the statute. Ordinary maintenance is going to be something that's addressed in your governing documents. So my first question back to, what was the gentleman's name?
This is Marvin.
To Marvin is, well, what is the association? What kind of pipes is the association responsible for? So you'll have to look in the declaration to see what pipes the association is responsible for and whether the pipes at issue fall within that maintenance obligation of the association. So, I mean, there are pipes that are within the perimeter boundary walls. Then there's pipes within internal partition walls. So you'd want to go to the declaration to see that. And let's assume that the association is responsible for the pipes at issue and failed to maintain them. Is it negligence? I mean, possibly, but pipes leak all the time, right? Pipes burst all the time. So just because a pipe bursts doesn't necessarily mean it's negligence. If it's a sudden burst, that could be considered a casualty event that could be covered by your insurance. If it's a pipe that's been leaking over time and the owner has notified the board of the leak and the board has ignored it, then potentially that's negligence. You need to, and really this is the onus is on the owner to prove negligence. You need to show that there was a duty of the association to maintain these pipes, and then the association breached that duty. Typically breach, you could prove breach by showing that the board knew about the leak and ignored it. And as a result of not doing anything, damage occurred. So it's the owner that has to prove negligence. It's not the obligation of the association to disprove negligence. And that's not easy to do.
Kirsten, did you study Surfside at all?
No, not in detail.
Okay. I was curious if they found that there was negligence that wasn't taken care of. I never saw that. Okay. Let's go to Sarah in Orlando. What happens to the surplus in a condo budget? Now, we talked about this before. Most people don't even have a surplus, do they?
I haven't seen one in recent times.
Okay, so I'm kind of surprised by so many people asking about surplus. Let's go to Peter in Kissimmee. This is in regards to safety. Can a board run a meeting and require members who are not on the board to attend and participate virtually?
So he's asking if the board can require owners to attend meetings virtually.
Yes.
Well, there's nothing in the statute, there's nothing in the law that mandates meetings virtually. In fact,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Steve.
Well, we get a lot of people, especially older people, who don't really understand completely the internet, and they don't like the idea of doing it virtually.
Well, sure, and it's quite possible that an owner could even have claim discrimination. If an owner is disabled
Yeah, I
and
didn't think of that.
for some reason can't or doesn't have access to a computer, there's many ways that you can legally challenge a meeting that's just virtual. So, my suggestion is if you're a board, that you always have a physical presence for a meeting, and then you can set up as an option, virtual, the virtual meeting. Now, if you're in a condo and you're going to have your annual meeting, your election, you definitely need to have a physical presence, because remember, any owner can vote for a director, can cast a ballot pretty much up to the moment that the first election ballot is sliced through. And the only way that the owner could deliver the election ballot, if hasn't delivered it by mail, is in person. So at any point, an owner can just run into a meeting and cast an election ballot. So you want to have that physical presence to give owners a final opportunity to cast their ballots. Or your election could be potentially legally challenged.
Okay, we're going to go to our final break. Kirsten, give everybody the phone number that's good for any of the offices in Florida.
Sure, it's 954-928-0680. And if you call that number with a switch of a button, you'll connect to me or any other attorneys in any of our offices.
We're going to go to our final break. We come back, we have more with K. Bender Rimbaum, Community Association Law. We'll be right back.
K. Bender Rimbaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rimbaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rimbaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rimbaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
And we are back. This is the final part of Ask the Experts today. We're with you every Thursday at 5 o'clock. We got great shows planned for you next week. I'm talking to attorney Kirsten Henza, and we're talking about community association law. And Kirsten, you actually run the Tampa office. And I've got a great question for you. We have so many people, board members that listen to the show, people who are going to be running for president of their association, a lot of management companies that listen. You've been with K. Bender Rimbaum for a long time. Why should we bring our property to K. Bender Rimbaum?
That's a good question.
Only you can answer it.
Well, I would say the best answer I can come up with is, at the end of the day, we're in the service industry, right? And so when a client calls, this is what I've, since I've started working with KBR, I've just been taught, and this is what I've practiced. You call our office and you will get a phone call that same day, maybe towards the end of the day, because, some days are just, unpredictable, but you will get a call, even if it's just, hey, I got your message. I'm calling you back. Let's set up another time to talk substantively about the issue. So that's just how our offices are run, and this is how every attorney operates.
Customer service is very important at K. Bender Rimbaum. Are you there?
Yep. I'm here.
Okay, yes. So I was just saying that customer service is very important at K. Bender Rimbaum, because we have other companies across the country out of the Florida area that are on our show, and we get people who will say they called up and it took them a week to get back. And I don't know how important the question is, but when you're running an association, it seems like every question is important, and you want your firm to, maybe not even the same day, but at least by the next day.
Steve, I can tell you, I've had clients who've texted me at 6 a.m, with questions, or Kirsten, when you get into the office, can you call me? I mean, that's the relationship that we build, that at some point we even provided our cell phone numbers to clients. So, we want to maintain good relationship, and that's just, I have clients that I've represented since I started with the firm. So,
I'll come into the office at your Pompano office, and sometimes you go in these offices, there's no one at the front desk, but there's always at least 2 or 3 people at that desk greeting you when you come in. And that just shows how important customer service is at K. Bender Rimbaum.
Yep.
So let's give everybody the phone number again. And if you'd like to make an appointment with them, you can do it by virtual, or you can come into the office. What is that phone number again?
Sure, Steve. It's 954-928-0680.
And your website is kbrlegal.com. KB as in boy, R Robert, legal.com. And I'm telling you, K. Bender's been with us about 8 years. And I got to tell you, when we have other firms that do community association law who want to do a show like theirs on our show, and I tell them we've already have someone, I have never heard any negative about K. Bender Rimbaum. And sometimes, when your competitors find out they do this or they do that, but always other firms always speak so highly of K. Bender Rimbaum, and that's got to be a good feeling.
It is.
Kirsten, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody have a wonderful dry weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday with more Ask the Experts. Good job, Kirsten.
See you next time.
Thanks,
Steve. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.